I challenge anyone watching to be that heaven that we feel in the church, but on earth and out in the streets and in the street, in the Walmart parking lot, in the dollar store, anywhere, you name it. Like at work, your friendships, your relationships. That is the challenge right now.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Mental Uplift Podcast, a faith-based podcast where we talk about mental health, self-care, and everything life-related. I'm your host, Joey.
And I'm your host, Britney.
And in today's episode, we are going to be touching base on kind of a general topic about this world and how can people be the change in a lost world.
A lost world indeed.
Yeah. So what I mean by lost world is we're meant to be in a world that reflects God's character. I guess to say, a world filled with love, compassion, and righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
And I can literally list examples of places or areas we've been to where it's like you don't see any of those anymore anywhere.
Yeah.
And it sucks. So that's kind of like what we mean by a lost world, like, a world that's just far from what I believe was meant for us.
Yeah. We don't see a whole lot of being like Jesus.
Yeah, exactly.
We're made in his image. We're supposed to reflect his character, reflect his love and who he is.
Exactly.
And we really don't see that. There is a lot of anger in the world. And it's sad because the first thing that comes to my mind is like, oh no, I want to get out of here. Yeah. Like, we live in Philly. I want to get out of here. Mm-hmm. I do not want to be around here. I don't want to be in this ghetto. I mean, I'll admit it, like, I grew up in Philly. Sometimes we should probably try to like shift our mindset to how can I be the change while I am here instead of, oh no, I'm ready to get out of here. Because like I said, for me, when I see all the rowdiness and I see all of the lack of morals, I'm like, I want to leave. Yeah. I want to get out. This is not for me. But I think the new challenge is how can I be the change in here?
Which is so hard because it's easy to think that way, but it's just so much easier to just think like, I gotta get out. Like, just
leave.
Forget everybody here.
Yeah.
Leave the ghetto in the ghetto and get out.
Yeah, but what good does your purpose, like where does that serve your purpose here being like Christ? Exactly. If you just leave and you run from it instead of doing what Jesus did, and he went towards everything.
Yeah, he went towards
towards all of it. And so we would be doing a disservice to those around us. Yeah. And at the end of the day, everyone's God's child. He created every person. And so it's hard, but we are to love every person. Yeah. And so when we do these podcast videos, like, this is me speaking to myself too, because yeah. That's all I gotta say with that.
It's definitely something that's hard, but it's like, like I always say, as long as it's up to me, just be at peace with everybody. I know there's a verse somewhere, I just don't remember which one. But it's so hard, but it's definitely something that I try to think about all the time. Yeah. And I try to find my version of peace that can align with my beliefs. So like my version of peace may not look the same to somebody else, but it's not my job to really please everyone, but it's my job to kind of just be in a good place, I feel like. And I may look at this down the line and hopefully I may see it in a different light because, at the end of the day, we want to continue to grow and be better. But in this present time, I feel like what I try to do the most is to be kind, to be courteous, and then just to overall find my version of peace in the world with every person. And that's at this moment, whether some people may disagree or not, but that is my version of what I believe to be right. I don't like talking bad about people. I don't like being rude. It really, really hurts because it's not who I want to be. Yeah. So it's like I really try my hardest to just be at peace and to be kind. And it's like, it's like we learned, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Mm-hmm. So sometimes my version of peace may just be silence or distance because that's me trying to be as kind as I can be. Like maybe I don't
Mhm.
have anything nice to say, but I'm not gonna sit there and I'm not gonna be rude. But I'm also going to not be fake, I guess, to say.
Yeah.
So it's like my in the season, my version of peace might be distance. And I just need that, and then I build on that. Like I said, maybe in the future I might see this differently.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just about growth and about being respectful, which costs nothing. Like it doesn't cost anything to try to be respectful to somebody. You being the change could be as little as giving somebody a compliment. Like, oh wow, you look nice today. I like your
Mhm.
outfit. I like your hair. I like to give texts to people in the morning, like, hey, good morning. Have a great rest of your day. Like,
Mhm.
I hope you're doing well. I want you to know that I'm proud of you and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, that's my that's my token of trying to be the change in those around me, trying to let them know that there's a world that is kinder than what they see.
Being the change
Yeah.
amidst the anger, everything. I feel like
Yeah.
the word is angry right now. I
It
don't know. It's
is.
just the main word that comes to my mind right now is like anger. When I think of like the main emotion, I feel like there's a lot of anger, loneliness. There's people struggling with their mental health and they're quiet about it. And again, this platform is to like touch base on those
Yeah.
things. Like
Literally.
we're here to talk about the things that not everyone wants to talk about, and that's what we're here for. That's what we're being used for, and I'm glad we're here. But yeah, what you were saying with sometimes the difference and being the change looks different for everyone. Like for me, I was a very angry teenager, and a lot of that has to do with like trauma I endured growing up or in high school. But if you knew me in high school, you don't know who I am now. So that's something I like to say. I'm not the same person I was in high school. And I am growing. Like I'm someone who struggles still with like when I'm upset, I get like really angry and it's like I'm still learning how to navigate that. So being the change and where that ties into what I was saying was it looks different for everyone. So I was more of a confrontational person like you were talking about me? Not like, "Hey, like what did I do to offend you?" That right there is it's growth. It's
Yeah.
going from, "Oh, you talking about me? You talking about me to so and so," and like, and being confrontational, being rude, and adding to the anger when sometimes it's just as simple as communication. Hey, like, where did I offend you? Like, what did I
Yeah.
say? Didn't mean to say it in that way. I'm so sorry. Like, that can be a change for someone, and that goes a long way. That saved friendships. Communication has brought reconciliation in friendships where there was a lot of miscommunication. So being the change looks like it's different for everyone in different parts of the world. And back to the lady at Walmart, who's to say she doesn't have like a lot going on at home? Like what if somebody went up to her and like if we could go back, we always think of what we can do like that
Yeah.
we didn't do. But what if she just needed a hug or like a conversation or hey like I don't know like can I pray for you, something as simple as that. But I think like when someone's angry usually it's tied to like a deeper reason, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always a reason to why someone's super hurt, super guarded, super like defensive. So like for me, I tend to think like I don't know how to explain it, like you can say something to me and I have a hard time processing if like, are you joking
Mhm.
or are you coming at me? Like I can't differentiate that between the two. And so sometimes that's hard for me, but I feel like what helps me in that moment is like specify in our situation, an example, like there's times where you'll say something and I'm like, is he making a joke about this or is he like really like coming at me right now? Like, are you
Yeah.
throwing shade? Or I guess to tie that all together is everyone has like their whys and their reasons
Yeah.
sometimes, and not everyone's gonna want to share like their whys, and that's okay. Sometimes all you have to do is offer to pray for them, and prayer goes a long way. Interceding for someone, that even in itself is one of the biggest ways to
Yeah.
be the change and the difference.
It is. I feel like it's definitely like you said, it's good to understand the whys in every scenario as best as you can. Like you said, some people
Yeah.
aren't going to share their whys and you have to respect that. But if you can understand the why, then you can go further than assumptions.
Yeah.
So, like, you can be the change in the world where it's like you just try to understand. Say, confrontation may be building up, argument may be starting to boil. Can right now it would be normal for us to see that argument pop off really quick and it can get really bad. But to be the change, it just takes one of those people involved to just try to understand, like, why is this person coming at me so hard for this situation that's not that deep? Let me just, let me be the bigger person and let them have a great day. And then that other person may turn around and be like, yeah, I am tripping. I'm sorry. Shake hands.
It's not that deep to you, but it can be deep to them.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just thinking about the scenario that's like in
Yeah.
Walmart. Like,
Well, that's true.
I'm sure it's not that deep to sit there and argue and probably fight over it at Walmart. It can't be. It can't be that deep. I don't. There's nothing I could think of at Walmart, and it was customer service. I'm sure he returned something. Most likely, they probably didn't have a receipt or something. They probably were accusing him of stealing it or something. I don't know. But at the end of the day, communication goes a long way. Kindness goes a long way because we work in customer service, and when someone is kind to you, you want to help them more.
Yeah.
So for all we know, that guy could have kind of started a little snippy attitude, and then she felt attacked by it, so she started getting snippy, and she don't want to help it. And that's what I'm saying. That's so normal to build up when one person can just kind of take in mind, okay, this person is here. Like in regards to the worker side, just be mindful of the other person's situations. Like, okay, who knows? He's returning this. What if he doesn't really have money? He just bought this and he just couldn't afford it or something. Now he's returning it and he just needs this money. So for him on his end, he's scared that he's not going to get this money back because of the situation. And that fear is coming out with anger.
Right, and the whole time it's not even personal to the employee. It's
It's
just
not.
you're just the first person that he's coming in contact with that like he's expressing that frustration to.
Yeah, so it's just different stuff like that you can just be mindful. Like to be the change, you can understand the why, be mindful, and turn a scenario that can be bad into something good. Like, you don't have to even make it great, but you can turn it good. Like, at the end of the day, they could have both agreed, like, okay, well, you don't have enough stuff for me to get this returned. I'm sorry, sir. And then he was like, all right, I get it. And then, they both go their ways,
Even
but they
offer a
don't argue.
suggestion. Like, well, we can't do anything, but you can try this. I love that you mentioned like work because we do work in customer service. And for all of my customer service people out there, I'm praying for y'all because it's hard. Like, and I work specifically in a very sensitive area. I work with cancer patients. I work with like their medications. So I'm dealing with what is saving their life and sustaining their PSA levels. And I remember when I first started, I knew of like oncology and like what that looks like and from the movies and TVs, but I never had a personal experience. And don't want to say like ignorance. I think ignorance is like the lack of knowledge, the lack of knowing, and like not understanding the severity of it. And so I had like an ignorance to it, kind of like, oh, we know people have cancer and that's it. Like that sounds bad, but I just didn't have as much empathy
You
or
didn't have a direct impact
yeah
to
for
make
me
you
to
truly understand.
yeah, and then so it was like, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. Like I did the talk track. Like I followed everything I had to say, but genuinely processing it and meaning it, it took a little bit. Like obviously I felt sorry for what someone was going through, but it wasn't until having a loved one like in such close proximity to us where it shifted the perspective and I got to see the other side of that like to a T. And it's like it really changes your perspective. And it was about a year into when I started my job. So because of that situation, it shifted everything for me because like I said, I had a visual and a close understanding of what that looks like. And I kind of not taught myself, but kind of like I learned more about it. And so because I educated myself in the struggle and learned more about it, I was able to at work handle it more effectively, right? So that goes into the person returning something is probably on his last dollar, but got to feed his kids.
Yeah.
So on my end, I have patients that are stage 4 cancer patients. If I don't do my job, they don't get their medication, their PSA levels go up, their life is changing. It's a heavy job, I know. But when you have that emotional awareness and intelligence and that compassion and that empathy, that where we work for is very driven in that, it changes everything. So I don't know, I guess bringing it in with like your job is like that can even change someone's life, because I remember there was a man who had said to me, um, oh, every curse word you could think of. You're going to hell. This, and I don't. You're incompetent. I don't like that word at all, because it's like I am far from that. It's like you're incompetent. You know how to do your job, and it was something like not even gonna get into it, but it was just something out of our control. Like take it out on your insurance, because that has nothing to do with me, type of thing. Not even trying to get into it, but it was just something I literally could not do anything about it. Like, I'm just the middleman. Yeah. Nonetheless, don't want to get too deep. I ended up just saying, like, I'm so sorry, like, I definitely understand, like, I've experienced a concern, like, a loved one. I know someone who experienced something similar, and I'm like, so sorry. Like, I know how devastating it is. He's like, before I said that, he goes, oh, you don't know anything about what I'm going through, do you? You're just someone working and you're clocked in and you're being taught to say what, like what you have to say, I guess. So I remember saying like, well, I do understand. And then it turned into this whole conversation. And long story short, at the end of the call, he was like, I want to take your name down so that I can work with you next time.
Yeah.
But I could have been like, sir, I don't like the way you're talking to me right now. I'm going to have to disconnect. I'm going to have to escalate this. Yeah. And it's like, instead of taking the time to pour into people, even if it's a stranger, like, we're just like walking away from it. Oh, this is too difficult. I got to walk away now. No, this conversation is taking a turn. I have to walk away. You're making me very uncomfortable. And yes, there's boundaries, but there's also chickening out and cowarding out. So just want to say, sometimes it's better to invest, especially in people you love. Like for you, our marriage is still, oh my gosh, why are we 3 years married? We're still learning, but like I love you. So I had to invest and I have to understand your triggers. I have to understand when I'm being too much. And I have to understand my actions might trigger you to where you might respond to that, and it's reactive, and it all comes from something that was never that deep in a sense, right? I yap a lot, but that's what it's for. Sorry, but it's just true. Like sometimes you just have to take the time to educate yourself.
Yeah.
On who you're talking to and who you're having a conversation with. At the end of the day, someone who loves you and cares about you is going to put in the effort to learn how to change the atmosphere. Yeah. Small argument, not even just relationships.
Yeah, no, not even relationships at all. It really could be anybody. Like that's literally what you should. That's the mindset you should have with anybody in the world. So at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters. So that's how you should really believe. Like I had a really, really bad call today at work where, they were telling me that everyone in the job are dumber than ants. And that's an insult to ants.
I thought ants were smart.
I don't know, but he said that's an insult to ants. But then he was like, it ended off with him saying, "Go to the parking lot and blow your brains out," which is really crazy to tell somebody. Mm-hmm. He was so angry that I was trying to offer him above what he was even asking for, and he was just so angry that he wasn't listening to what I was saying, and then I couldn't even do what I originally wanted to do, which is like he's asking me for this, and I'm literally trying to give him this, and I mentioned it to him, and he's just like, "No, give me that," or whatever. And it was just such an angry call, but I was proud of myself because normally I would snap back. Like, I'm coming out of a very, very angry mindset where sometimes I get a little smart and I could give attitude back, but I took a deep breath and I listened to him. And at the end of the day, he hung up on me in a very horrible note, and I still followed through with what he needed. And I still made sure that everything went through smoothly so that hopefully he can get his medication and he can be a little bit happier the next day.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, me, like I said, being mindful of what he may be going through, just being understanding, may give him the smallest amount of joy in his life. And that alone is an attempt to be the change in a lost world. It's stuff like that, like, just trying to be courteous or compassionate, trying to go the extra mile, try to extend the grace that the Lord extends us. Because if we get the grace that we have not earned, who are we to withhold that from other people?
That's good, brother.
Yeah, I just thought of that.
Hit me.
I just thought of that. Like, really, at the end of the day, being the change could fall as simple as extending the grace that the Lord extends to you.
Yeah, because we don't even deserve it, yet we get it. And it's like you said, who am I to sit here and determine who I'm going to pick and choose,
Yeah.
who to extend grace to?
Which is very, very hard. It's easier said than done.
For real.
And I don't want to come across as me being perfect and extending grace
No.
to everyone that I know in the world, because I'm not. And I say this because I struggle, and I just had this epiphany for myself. It literally just came out. And sometimes, things just, I guess, flow out here that I need to hear. Like you said, we speak to ourselves too sometimes.
Yeah, we don't rehearse this stuff. This is like right off of the brain, right in the mind.
I don't like rehearsing. I write notes down, but I don't like, I got my notes separate from her, so she don't see what I'm going to talk about, and
we don't really
she gonna talk about this, so that we can have a genuine conversation together. Yeah. So I like that. I really like that.
You get to see our like first thoughts on it. Yeah. And like there's a lot of room for growth in that though. So like in the beginning versus now, things are different. Yeah. Very different. If you know, you know. But anyway, nonetheless, yeah, like what you were saying, it's not easy. I can sit here all day and say, oh yeah, extend grace, forgive so and so. But I got a couple things on my end that I'm praying to the Lord about on my next steps. So, but it's this whole topic is a beautiful topic because I feel like we have a very big experience in our life of being the change. And so I feel like I'm gonna touch on it a little bit. We had a friend group that turned into family. It fell off for miscommunication, a situation, the whole thing. But when you're obedient to the Lord and you extend the grace and you forgive and you heal and you be the change and you try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, it's easier to forgive. Like, wait, I'm this person in this situation, but what about this person? Yeah, I feel this way, or I feel upset, or I feel hurt and sad, but what about the other person? So it really helps. So with that situation, that's what was done on both sides, on all sides, because there's a lot of us. But on all sides, most sides, we were able to mend a really, really important friendship in our life, like a very important friendship, because we were able to not feed into the anger of the world. The world would have been like, or anybody else on the street would have been like, forget all that. Don't do any of that. Oh, you don't need none of that. I mean, I've had that advice given to me, so it's true. Everybody's just like, forget everything. You don't have to do all that. No, just leave it where it's at. But sometimes God wants us to be uncomfortable. And in that obedience comes beautiful things. So
you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
You have to, yeah, amen. You got to be comfortable being uncomfortable because God didn't put you here to just sit on the couch and relax and not, do the work. He sent you here. You have a purpose. We all know things that we struggle with. And so we have to actively work on it. It's not going to get fixed on its own. That situation sat for a year and a half. Yeah. No movements, like until it did. Until we said, okay, let's do this. And then they did this. And then now we're here. And now it's like the best thing ever. Like, praise God for reconciliation and just obedience on all ends. And so it's just that goes to show, like, that was a situation that easily the world would be like, oh, heck no, just leave it. Like leave it where it's at type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, which then again still falls back into there's one mindset that the world has conformed to. If you don't conform to what the world believes, what the world thinks you should do in scenarios, some of these harsh beliefs, like, just a lot of things that people believe are not righteous. It falls back into that. It's just not, it doesn't reflect what we know to be good,
Yeah.
to be fair, to be kind. Like a lot of people, their beliefs don't line up with that. So if you're going to somebody for advice and they're giving you something that doesn't align with those beliefs, don't take it.
Yeah.
You can listen to them all day. You don't be rude and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Listen to them all day. Maybe you don't have to talk to them about it again, and you can just make your own decision and
Yeah.
choose to step out that box. Maybe you can tell that person, hey, I think that's a little bit of a harsh response. Like, be the change in all areas. You could be the change with the person you talking to them about, and you can also change that person. At the end of the day, it's like, you just want to be open and transparent with everybody and just, be the change in the lost world.
Oh, you were the change for me to like though.
What do you mean?
Like I was someone very like angry. And like I said, I'm not perfect now. I still have a temper. The Lord is working on me. Full transparency with whoever's watching. But it was like worse before. And so like being the change can be in a relationship too. Like
Yeah.
instead of, oh no, like you're too much work, I gotta go. Like where in the past, even with friendships, not just relationships, like friendships too, it's like, oh, I can't handle this, I have to go. Like you stood by me, you allowed me to grow, and you extended grace sometimes when I didn't deserve it. And so like that's a true reflection of who Jesus is. And so that's important. And I'm thankful for you, because if you hadn't stuck around, like we wouldn't be here, because you were very, this man is persistent and consistent. And there was times like, I saw growing up like, oh no, this is too much, I'm done. Like that's just flat out.
The
This
standards
is
of the
getting
world.
like, this is too difficult. Maybe this is not for me. And I learned that. I was like, oh well, things are getting a little rough. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'd rather just be done. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And that was me, and that's just that. But you stood by me through that. Not saying it was easy at all. It's not easy, but you were like the change. I saw a lot of friendships where, oh no, like I don't want to, too many difficult conversations, and I had lost friends, and well, I didn't really lose them, but God took them out of my life and stuff. And so all to say, you were really the change amidst that growing season, because where people normally would just walk away, you stayed. And praise God you did, because we are where we are. And I love you for that.
I love you.
So yeah, I mean that goes for everything. We keep saying that, but it's really true. Like
Yeah.
being the change in someone's life looks like it in so many different
Yeah, it
ways.
does. And it makes a huge impact. And at the end of the day, I believe that if we start going out there and being more of a change, it'll cause a domino effect, and it'll just continue to grow and spread like wildfire. Like I feel
Yeah.
like one of my biggest ways where I see a change is in the church.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of missionaries that get done, a lot of people who have came together off of one person's obedience and one person's change in the world
Mhm.
can start a whole domino effect. Like Pastor Mark, he was obedient. He started a church, and now there's 2 campuses with I don't even know how much people. There's a bunch of people that
Yeah.
go. So his attempt to be the change in the world was successful, and he now has like-minded people that
Mhm.
have come out of his change. We are people who are trying to make a change with
Yeah.
everything that we're doing with this whole podcast. We're trying to make a change
Yeah.
here, and it probably would have looked different if maybe he never started that change on his end.
Yeah.
So it's a domino effect that you can cause just by starting the change. So just, a lot of times putting yourself out there may be enough to affect someone else, and then that person could want to make a change. And then they can affect someone else, and that person can want to make a change. So at the end of the day, it's just, I truly believe that if you surround yourself with those like-minded people, if you try to put yourself out there to make a change, it would eventually make the world change.
Yeah.
And that's the overall goal. Like just have the world being changed. I feel like when I'm in church is like the best. I feel like there's times where, they're singing and they're worshiping and everything, and I'm up there too, but then I stop and I look around and I see the smiles and the dancing. People are dancing together, smiling together. We're happy together, and it makes me feel like this is what heaven looks like. Like-minded people who want to be kind, who are not perfect, want to join together and just, praise the Lord, and are overall grateful. And I'm sure everyone who is in their walk with the Lord, they want to be different. They may be in a stage of anger still, but they want to be a change. And it's like when you are in a setting like that, it's so hard to not want to be the change in the world.
And to point out something in what you're saying is when we're in church and we're in that building, we feel the presence so heavily, and it's so easy to be joyful in that presence with people that are like-minded, but it's a challenge, and I challenge anyone watching to be that heaven that we feel in the church, but on earth and out in the streets, and in the street, in the Walmart parking lot, in the dollar store, anywhere, you name it, like at work, your friendships, your relationships. That is the challenge, right? We go to church, we know it's gonna be a good time. I know that when I go to church, I'm gonna get fed. I'm gonna eat up. I'm gonna eat up the word. I'm gonna worship. I'm gonna let loose, and I'm gonna be free. But then you go outside. Somebody's angry a second later. That's where you have to spread that happiness and that joy that we have in that room and just spread it everywhere. Because
Yeah.
what good is it if it stays amongst us that I know who Jesus is? I know the love of Jesus. You know the love of Jesus. But that person at Walmart, I don't know if they knew the love of Jesus, but what good did I do if I just walked right past them and said, oh, hell no, who's that person?
Yo, that's so good. So
Like
good.
it's true. Like you go into church, you eat, you're fed, but you're not feeding anybody else. Like,
Yeah.
that's the truth of what we did. And we know now, I know now to, you know, share the love of Jesus. But what good is it if I'm just holding on to it for myself?
Exactly. That's so good. That's so good.
It's just a little perspective.
That's good. I feel like that's like mic drop good. That's mic drop
Praise
good.
the Lord. It was the Lord. The Lord and nothing but the Lord.
That's so good. I think I'm ready to end it right there. That's good.
No way. Well, to piggyback, like to second that, remember we talked about a video where you were watching another podcast where a man who was suicidal, right? You said he was ready to end his life,
Yeah.
and he was waiting. He
Yeah.
was waiting for someone to talk to him. What if you are the last person? Think about it like
Yeah.
that. You are the last person to talk to someone who was ready to end their life. What did that conversation look like?
Hold on. Even to stress it even more, he was waiting for somebody to talk to him on the Golden Gate Bridge, and somebody came up to him, and he said that he was like, "Okay, this is it. I'm not gonna die today." And then they asked him to take a picture of him. That it was like some foreigner who just wanted a picture of themselves taken.
Bridge.
So he's sitting there like pacing back and forth, ready to jump, and he's thinking like, this is that person making a change in his life, and then they just ask you to take a picture, and then that's it. So it's like
Again,
you're like what you do, like just being mindful again. It just brings back to being mindful of what's around you. Like the way he explained it is that anybody who's actually looking at him would have known. So it's like just, be mindful and look for that. Like, look for signs. And it is sad, but it's like you just gotta look for the signs in people in this world. Like if you actually care, you won't ignore it, and you won't just try to be blind to it. Like
Yeah.
we all know stuff like this in the world happens. So don't try to be blind to it. Don't go out into the world thinking like, nah, that person's not thinking that. If he's giving you some signs, go ask him. You may not know them, but do you care about people? Like, if you do, then just step out your comfort zone. Maybe not even you, even as little as call the cops or something. Like, this guy is looking like, this guy is looking really, scary right now. I just want to report this so somebody can come out here and watch him. Like, you don't have to be the one that puts yourself into dangerous positions or anything like that.
Right.
But, it's just anything that you can possibly do matters.
Yes.
So it matters. So just, try to be that change in the world to make a difference in others' lives. so
Mhm.
that we can all just start a domino effect, and then we all would just love each other.
I literally love that so much because I feel like that's what I do with like new moms. Like I see a pregnant person and I'm like, okay, now I'm watching you a little bit. And I'm gonna make sure that you're okay. Like I remember in church, like there was a pregnant woman and she was talking about postpartum. As soon as they said that, I remember what I went through and the lies I believed that I was alone or that I was a burden. And so now I'm like very vigilant and I look at
Yeah,
moms, like new moms specifically, like, because
yeah,
I'm still learning too. We have littles, but that transition, that postpartum and how it hit me and how I didn't know how to navigate it or if I
yeah.
was tripping or so
It's all
it
right.
just it brings awareness.
Gonna save that for the Mother's Day podcast.
Oh, y'all gonna like that one. That one might be 2 hours long. So, nonetheless, I love what you said because it is so important to be just emotionally aware. And you don't have to be the smartest person. I mean, if somebody is crying in the corner, I know a lot of people walk past. I'm like, oh my God, like, did you see that person? Like, they're crying. Did you try to see what's wrong? And like, and sometimes that's hard, especially if you're introverted,
Yeah,
because I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to go to Target, get what I got to get, and go. But I find that when I have conversations with strangers, it's like I don't know their stories. I don't know what they go through at home. And like we said, what if you speak to them and that was the last conversation? Like you were the last person they spoke to before something detrimental happened in their life. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, just be the change. Yeah, I've had a lot of impactful conversations with strangers. Like,
yeah,
they're like, "Oh my gosh, like these kids are driving me nuts." But they'll see me like, in the store with the kids or like, there was a lady who walked up to me and was like, "They grow fast. It's hard right now." And I'm like with Ava and she's like not listening and she's like, "They grow fast. Just like hold her hand. This you're going to miss this." And then like I don't know if you're with me, but the lady goes like, I remember when mine were small, like they're in college now, and like just changing perspective. And like now, when I'm frustrated with my child, I try to think of that lady. Like, you're
yeah.
right. My house is gonna be empty one day, and I'm gonna be devastated about it, and that makes me sick thinking about it. So I'm gonna do
I'm
right
still
by them.
gonna be here.
Well, I know, but like you're gonna miss that, like the
I
noise.
know.
Like we'll get into this on the Mother's Day podcast, but like we have okay, like you hear this silence, right? But that's gonna be all throughout. No fingerprints on the glass. Like, and then sometimes I take it for granted. Sometimes like I'm like, oh my gosh, I wipe the window again, or oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I gotta wipe the mirror. But it's such a beautiful thing. So
yeah,
not to get too sidetracked. Here.
yeah. All right.
Perspective.
Yeah, but overall, we just want to do our part in the domino
Yeah.
effect. And, we're trying to encourage everyone to be the change. Like Brittany said, we encourage or we challenge
Yeah.
someone to go out there and be a change in a scenario that you see that you may not have, you know, taken a part of before, or if you find yourself in an argument yourself, be mindful of the other person, be
Yeah.
the bigger person. So a lot of people fight with pride with that. So just kill that pride, kill that flesh, and just love on that person, send them their way with kindness, and continue
Mm-hmm.
to move on, and you will see a change. And maybe you'll see change in yourself. For the most part, you probably will feel more happy with yourself that you did that. So overall, just continue to try your hardest to be your best and be that change that you want to see. So many people like talk about change and talk about how bad things are. Maybe God's just waiting for you to be that person that to see the change. So, just try your hardest to be that change in the world so that we all can join together one day.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, as always, very glad to have you watching. Your support means everything to us. We're very happy that you're here. If you're here, you're on the right path. I feel like, like you're looking into growth, like we're all growing together. And I don't know, maybe this is me speaking like very far in the future, but I hope to have conversations with a lot of people who have watched this so we can go in depth about what we're talking about here. Again, super grateful, super honored to be able to share our experiences with you guys and to just grow
Yeah, for
and
sure.
learn and love and just become who we are in Christ and find our identity in Him. At the end of the day, this is what this is for.
Make sure you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, anywhere, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, anywhere where you watch your podcast, just, like, comment, follow us, subscribe to us. I really, really love to see comments because I just want to make sure that we're on the right path for you guys. As I always say, we're here in this season to serve those who need that help, to serve ourselves, and to serve those who need that help with different scenarios. So if you have a scenario you want to hear us talk about, definitely send it our way, and we'll try our best to touch base on that so that we can overall help the people who are viewing this.
Thank you so much for watching. We cannot wait for you to watch our next episode. We love you and goodbye.
Peace.